Today. This is Kent. He's going to be our bus driver. It's going to take us about halfway up the side of this mountain to the Welcome Center and the man-made entrance of our cave. So we're on a peninsula right now. It kind of acts like an island. This is the only road on this side of the lake for about 20 miles. There's no road connecting us to the outside. So we all had to take a boat to get over here. How do you think this bus got over here? On a boat. That big gray boat on the other side of the lake. Her name's Elsie. We bought her surplus from the U.S. Navy in 1955. She hauls everything man-made from that side of the lake to this side of the back. She sank twice in the lake in the past 60 years. The last time she sank, we found some numbers on her, ran those numbers, and discovered she was in the Battle of Normandy during World War II.
Oh my goodness!
She's a big landing craft, so she probably wasn't carrying troops, trucks, supplies, things like that. We're going through a mixed forest zone right now. You guys have got the passenger side of the bus. All those red bushes, those are man's-needed trees. We also have ponderosa pines coming up on the driver's side. We have a really big trunk with the puzzle-like bark pieces, which make them unique. We also have live oak, white oak, black oak, and poison oak. We have a great maintenance team, so you guys shouldn't see any poison oak today. If you do, just don't touch it. We have a bunch of wildlife in this area. In the lake, we have bluegill, a smallmouth and largemouth bass, catfish, salmon, trout, sturgeon. We even have freshwater jellyfish, really small. Whoa. So tectonic plates pushed together, creating the mountain range we're on right now. It's about 30 miles long, 60% hollow, so it's full of caves like the ones we're going to see today. Most caves are formed from a top-down erosion process. That's rainwater seeping in and eroding the rock. This is formed a bit differently. This dark gray rock right here, that's magma, volcanic activity. Volcanic activity, sulfuric acid, and groundwater hauled out the inside of the cave. The filling in process, how formations are formed. Rain has carbonic acid in it. It mixes with the dirt, picks up minerals that seeps the rock. Once it gets inside the cave, it loses its carbon dioxide, begins to crystallize. All the formations we're going to see today are calcite crystal and limestone cave. This right here is the man-made entrance. The natural one's 8 stories above us. We're going to see it at the end of the tour. We bought this property in 1955 to turn it into a touring cave. The folks who did the construction, they're called the Thompson brothers. They created Thompson Water Seal, if you guys have heard of that. Their goal was to get to the lowest known room at the time, the basement room. During the blasting process, they discovered 2 rooms doubling the size of the tour. I do have some rules, the big ones. There's 850 stairs in total. For the most part, they're all going up. There's a turnaround point I'll point out to you guys. And then stay with me, it's a guided tour. And the no touch rule. So we have oil in our skin. The formations use water to grow. Oil and water does not mix. It could slow down or stop the growth process entirely. We don't want that. You good? Actually 300, but I've been saying it so long it just ingrained in my head. So it starts about 2 miles down south, and it goes about halfway up in Oregon. Yeah, right now I just have a bunch of like breaker boxes hidden.
They look icy. Are they cold?
Oh, there's people think they're slimy, they're just wet.
Okay.
That's why they're all kind of shiny, you could say.
Ones like that have broken off, are they going to then continue growing, or is once they're broken, are they just like done?
Yeah, as long as there's water going over it, eventually it'll grow back. I always said like the formations, they grow 1 inch every 100 years, which is true. That's under perfect conditions. This is California. It doesn't rain here. Only like 2 months out of the year. So in the summertime, this stuff doesn't grow. You see the ground's mostly dry. All this water is probably from May. This is the newest room of our tour. We opened for business in 1964. 1977, guests like you guys, they came in after hours, they were snooping around. I looked through this hole right here and discovered a whole new room. That's why those stairs continued up into the basement room. 1984 construction was completed, and this room was included into the tour. We know this room's been underwater for a good portion of its life. We know this by these two formations back here. This right here is called coral light. We call it cave coral or cave platform. Then right above that, these are stalactites. They don't really follow the rules of the other formations by going straight up or straight down. They go any which way they want. That's because they're backed by water pressure coming from the limestone. Stalactites are also relatively rare in North America, so it's unique we have them in this cave. Those chandeliers above you guys are also made of stalactites.
So the ones that go any direction, they're just following the weakest point in the
Yep.
portion.
Exactly.
You go down at the end of the trip rather than up, so.
Yeah, it's a lot easier. That's the best part.
You do have a slide set up?
I wish.
Yeah.
So I think in the 90s they were trying to get a zip line to go from the back door of the cave all the way across to the gift shop. I think it's like 4 miles, longest zip line in the United States. Across the lake. But Cal Fire shut it down because they use the lake for fires, scoop up a little water. Doesn't make any sense because they have telephone lines going across the lake too.
Put some of those big red balls on the
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So welcome to the basement room. This is the lowest room the original explorers could get to in 1878. It's also the lowest room you can get to the natural entrance.
So
Those other
they
rooms,
excavated to go down, they blasted to go down? Okay.
not until the 50s. So this is all
Okay.
just crawling around, squeezing through, finding their way. Those other rooms, they were there. They weren't discovered yet. Can you guys tell me what's different about this room?
There's no formation.
Nope, I'm on the form. That formation, it comes out right over here with black cords coming out. They shimmy around up there. I've never been up there, I couldn't tell you.
Wow.
So they walk across that little bridge there?
Yeah,
Wow.
I would.
How long have you worked here?
7 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is my first season here.
So can you point out the
Yeah, of course. It goes back about 90 feet to the outside. That's not daylight, because daylight only goes about 50 feet.
So they must have had ropes, right?
Yeah, they tied off.
Because otherwise, pretty good call.
Yeah, I've never been up in the natural lands, but I guess there's like a big pit in there, and at some point in time, someone put like a wooden bridge across up in there. I guess it's all
this would have been the first room and stuff. And then they went down from here,
Down to that basement room, that was the lowest they could get to.
and then they,
Came back up.
and it's going out. How close are we to getting?
First tour of the day, only people on this side of the lake. Me and the three guests. First people in the cave like today, and in that basement room, we all heard people talking. Like we heard people like talking, but we didn't understand what they were saying. There's like it's like noise.
You didn't understand Laverian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, language barrier. So that's one weird thing. And here with the bats, I know it makes sense when I say it, but the bats make a lot of weird noises, freaks me out. And with these upper lights off, I don't like being in here by myself. It's quiet and it's eerie. And then with all the lights off, it's absolute darkness, and I don't like it either. Can't even see your face right in front of your head.
Can you turn all the lights off?
We used to on tour, we can't do it anymore, sadly. Yeah, people get scared.
There's no need to freak people out.
I'll just close it.
Yeah.
Than like your typical lightheaded. It started to become like blurry vision, distorted. Kind of felt funny, you know, kind of like when you go to the anesthesiologist when you're right about to go under. And that was an interesting experience. But aside from that, nothing really. We did have a tour guide here a number of years ago who reported a Bigfoot sighting. And then she quit the company like soon after her Bigfoot sighting, as it shook her that bad. But as far as I'm aware of, nothing else had your atypical UFO sighting or Bigfoot sighting. But personally myself, yeah, as much as I've ever seen was a bizarre encounter I had in the cathedral room. I felt what most typical people would consider like a presence. It felt very bizarre.
Have you seen a bear?
More bears than I can count on my hands. So that was just this last summer as a tour guide here. Before that, working at the company as a gift store clerk, I would see foxes all the time. You'd see the occasional bear over there on that side, but for the majority of it, yeah, I've seen about 10 bear sightings, both large and small. Mostly the small, like cubs running up and down the water, and yeah, they're cute. They're about the size of a English bull mastiff, scampering around in the woods. Northern California black bears, when they're young, they're rather sickly looking, would you say? They're kind of gangly. They're just not quite fat yet, so you almost feel bad for the little guys running around in the woods. But yeah, Northern California black bears, we have a lot of them. There's actually no more grizzly bears in the state of California whatsoever, in spite of it being the state flag symbol. Ooh.